think we know who wants to own a team in Vegas. Cleveland Alert number 2 of the segment, Linz. And that man's name is LeBron Raymond James. Like, bro, you're not going to side note your way into the Vegas team by trying to pull a scam on Dallas. That's not how that's going to happen if you're trying to operate and strong-arm the NBA personally. And secondly, I think you're right, Scott. Trading for one of the best players in the league is not a tank. That's just not what that is at all. You know how I know what tanking looks like? Because, hello, the Washington Wizards from my hometown have been excelling in this very non-skill for multiple decades, which happen to encapsulate my entire life. So, yes, I understand the conspiracy theories are out there. I understand what all that means. But if that is so directly tied, then somebody along the way is screwing it up, Scott.
Yeah, this guy was selling me on this last night, and I'm like, I looked at this guy and I go, bro, you're a newspaper columnist in Boston. And you're selling me on this conspiracy theory about how the Dallas Mavericks are going to intentionally tank so that they either get their way or they move to Vegas. And I just reminded him, I'm like, I don't know, man. I go, I don't think you can just all of a sudden bully your way from I'm taking my team and I'm moving them to Vegas.
Important question. What time of day was this, and where were we on what we'll just call the hydration level at that point?
It was about 9:30 p.m.
Okay, sun was down.
And I had already had so
his hydration level is that in fact what I was asking about.
I understand, but it's important to understand mine as well.
Noted.
Only because I'm a lightweight, Clinton. Okay, I get very drunk on a very small amount of alcohol, so I had a vodka soda, and I walked from one bar to the next bar, and I threw out the vodka soda that I had, and I refreshed with another one. And then I moved to another bar, and I threw out the vodka soda that I had, and I refreshed with another one.
Okay,
so I really probably had like one drink in total over the course of holding 3 drinks.
We'll qualify that as 2, just for the sake of doing it. Yeah.
I was now at this point drinking soda water, but everybody thought I was drinking vodka soda.
Right. Good move.
But I didn't want anybody to know that I wasn't drinking alcohol anymore.
Good move.
So I feel like I was able to retain a lot of what he said. And I don't recall this guy holding any liquid refreshment of any kind.
So this was a breeze-through situation is what I'm getting at. It's not like you were locked in at a dinner table and he was wearing you out for 15 minutes about it. You were effectively in passing.
Yes, but we were very locked in on this conversation.
Got it.
I can see this in my head, and I think...
Dude, if you've been to Radio Row or any of these functions, it's all the same. I'm so visualizing this. Scott is doing a great job of breaking this down.
And he's just kind of like nodding in agreement. And you know what? I think at the end of this... The story that you told, Cap, I think he is the Ichiro guy.
I'll tell you his name. I don't mind telling you his name.
We don't need to do that. Tell us offline. I don't need to get into that right now. You already got enough beef out in the streets as we speak. I don't need you adding extra humans to that roster right now.
That is a very good piece of advice, and that's why I want to be on Clinton and Friends, because I'm a friend, and you're a friend.
We're all great friends.
A friend helps a friend.
This is correct.
All right.
Friends don't let friends start beef.
The Big CY is in for Sedano. Lindsay will have what we all need to know. We'll reset the top of the hour. This is Sedano and Cap on 710 ESPN.
Saturday in North Carolina, the Kings powered their way to a 4-2 win over the Hurricanes, led by forward Kevin Fiala.
Kings guided up top, deflected out. Foot race back through neutral ice to collect it, and the Kings take over. Right wing, Fiala steps into the middle. Fiala waits, shoots, scores! What a goal! Kevin Fiala, and the Kings lead it 3-1 here in the second period. Hull pressured right wing, and it's back into the neutral zone. Skated away by LA, and they come. Fiala shoots, scores! Kevin Fiala, he's done it again! And with 8:20 to play in the third, it's 4-2 LA!
Tonight, the Kings begin a 6-game stretch on home ice against an original 6 opponent, the Montreal Canadiens. Don't miss the action. Listen live at 7:30 on the all-new ESPN LA app.
Just better for you. Our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Our steamed vegetables and signature salads are made fresh for you. Our sauces are more flavorful for you. From sweet and spicy to fiery hot. Right now, get our Value Bowl combo for only $8.99. Download the Waba Rewards app or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, it's for you.
This February, NextGen is making it easy to show someone you care with their Buy a Membership, Give a Membership special. When you sign up to become a NextGen VIP, you'll have the opportunity to give someone you care about a 6-month VIP membership absolutely free. With a NextGen membership, you'll both enjoy priority service, exclusive discounts, and peace of mind all year long. Don't wait. Call 833-3-NEXTGEN today to take advantage of this limited time offer.
NEXGEN, call 833-3-NEXTGEN.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
710 ESPN.
KSPN, Los Angeles.
A Good Karma Brands radio station.
710 ESPN.
Sedano and Cap for your afternoon right now on 710 ESPN.
It's time for what you need to know.
Let's do it. What you need to know right now.
What you need to know is being brought to us by Morongo Casino Resort and Spa. Good times, less than 90 minutes from wherever you are. The Big CY is in the house.
What up, kiddos?
DeAndre running this operation, keeping us on track. And Lindsay Baseball ready with what we all need to know.
Well, what you need to know is that if you thought that those old guys in Black Sabbath were done, you were wrong. Because they just announced that they're reuniting for one last time to play on, this part of it is cool, a fundraising concert in Birmingham on July 5th. So Ozzy Osbourne and the original members of Black Sabbath, which include Geezer Butler, Bill Ward, and Tommy, I don't know how to say that guy's last name. Do you, Cap? Are you familiar with the guy?
Don't ask
Tony from...
Do not ask either individual that's in this room with you right now.
All I knew was Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, Ozzy Osbourne, I was like, okay, wait, if they're going to put Black Sabbath back together, Ozzy was the original lead singer. After Ozzy, I got nothing.
I wonder if he'll do the whole bat stunt just since it's, going out in style one last time. He said it's definitively his final show. He's 76 now, by the way.
76?
Yeah. I mean, he looks it, too. A lot of these older guys, like Mick Jagger and, like some of the older touring rock musicians, don't really look that old, but you could tell Ozzy Osbourne, he's had some fun in his life and probably some not-so-fun times, too.
Yeah, they had a whole reality show that was 20 years ago.
That was a good show.
He
that
looked
was a good show.
Then.
Yes, that was a good show. It was entertaining.
Ozzy Osbourne, though, I mean, for him to come out of retirement to sing, I mean, it was painful to watch him try singing, like, Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
What, didn't he recently?
Wrigley.
No, I was going to say, didn't he recently do something like a halftime show? Wasn't it like at a Rams game maybe even? He did something at a halftime show, and it was all backing tracks. Like, it was no actual voice of his, really.
There's Justin. Hold on.
Yep.
I'm looking at the YouTubes here. Hold on. Okay, so Fortenbaugh. Okay, sorry. I hate to derail this.
Go ahead.
Fortenbaugh has left the shot. I saw Justin pop in. What's the update? What's going on here?
So Justin Craig, for anybody that doesn't know, which is everybody, Justin Craig is the guy who runs the ESPN radio network.
Yes.
At the commercial break, I said to Justin, hey, look, everybody wants to know if you can put Joe on the show. I go, and given the background and seeing him over my shoulder, it's kind of funny. And Justin's like, well, did you say anything to him? And I'm like, no. I'm like, don't you think he should come over and say something to me? And he's like, well, I think, you guys should be nice. And I go, well, why don't you broker the whole thing? I go, they want to put you on the air.
Peacemaker, yeah, Justin. Can we get Justin a headset here and a mic so we can ask him?
We wanted to put you on the air, Justin, to find out if you would keep us away from each other or if you would maybe bring us together. But I feel like Justin has either walked back to the men's room here or perhaps he's walked back to the green room in behind the Airstream. I don't have an update.
He's going to come back out, and Fortenbaugh's going to have a robe on and a belt.
No.
And it's going to be like a guy blasting music, and there's going to be a 3-round fight right now that Scotty doesn't know about.
Right here, right now.
Can I go pee first?
Yeah, I was going to say, you get one break before you have to face him. So I didn't mean to derail that, but I was looking at the YouTube feed, and Justin popped on and started waving his hands. And I guess it's a touch delayed, so anyway, pardon me.
I would have to pee.
Pardon the interruption, as they say.
I got to pee before I fight.
Okay, very well.
So Cap, though, if he does, like, what are we going to, like, what's the conversation here if he brings him over and you guys sit down and, like, break bread on the air, like Clinton said?
Well, a lot of people are suggesting in the circle of trust that I say to Joe what, like, Pete Carroll once famously said to Jim Harbaugh in the old USC-Stanford rivalry days, where Pete said something to the effect of, like, what's your problem?
No. That's the exact.
That's confrontational, Cappy.
No, you're not supposed to do that.
That's not what we're doing. What you do is this. You say, hey, I heard that you were good at arm wrestling, and just make it up. And then you guys have a legit social moment, and you say, who can win in arm wrestling? And you let Justin Craig be the judge of that. That's how you do it.
That's
Do a legitimate physical challenge
Justin is back.
that doesn't involve hitting each other in the face.
Okay,
That's not what you want.
Okay,
But
Justin he's back. Justin has come back to the set. Everybody saw you behind me, Justin. Do you want to pick up a headset for a second?
What
All right, hold on a second.
Okay, he's picking up a
People
headset.
want to hear
This
from
is
Justin
great.
Craig.
Here's
I'm
Justin
so
Craig.
glad we're
Justin
doing this.
Craig is the man who runs ESPN Radio, national radio. So that means he's the brainchild behind the news, Clinton and Friends show.
This is true.
Okay, here
Hi,
he
Justin.
is. He's coming over here. He's picking up his mic. Justin, you got Lindsay, you got DeAndre, and you got the big CY Clinton Yates back in L.A. Want to say hello? Wait a second. I got to turn your mic on.
Turn him up.
All right.
There he
Hey.
is. Hey, buddy.
Wow.
I'm an engineer
You're an
now,
engineer
too.
as well.
Yeah,
Put that on the record.
Yeah, I'm
Tell him
engineering
what
this
Kevin
thing.
Demoff said when he sat down with you, Cappy. You're at the little kids' table today.
Yeah, Kevin Demoff laughed at me. He's like, "Why are you here at the little kids' table? Why aren't you up there in that really cool Airstream?" And I'm like, "Because in the world of ESPN, I'm the little kid."
Yeah, that's true.
Pretty much that's the deal.
Okay, we're getting distracted here. Here's the point here, Justin, is that we're trying to figure out, are you willing to broker some sort of I don't want to call it a challenge, or I don't want to call it a confrontation either, but I think that Fortnaw and Kaplan should be able to facilitate an arm wrestling match in which you are the umpire, judge, referee, official, whatever you want to call it. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'd like to hear you say his last name again first.
Did I botch it?
Yes.
Dang it.
Fortenbaugh, right?
Did I not
Thank
say
you,
that?
Lindsay.
What did I say?
You said
Val?
Fortnaw.
Yes.
Oh, my bad.
You just missed a little syllable.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Well,
You missed the B.
Joe F.
B.
is probably the way I'll say that from here on out. But do you think this can be facilitated today
I don't know
on
if we're
this
gonna
show?
go arm wrestling. I'm not sure that's the best. Maybe it's like what do they do now? That leg wrestling thing. We should try that.
What kind of leg wrestling?
What about the slap contest?
Well, no, there'll be none of that.
Okay.
I actually was just back talking to Mr. Fortenbaugh.
Got it.
And he had to run out to an appointment tonight, but we'll see what we can work out.
Okay.
We got a couple
I'm
more
back
days.
Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, we got 2 more days.
There's
Did
that.
he say anything like, "Hey, boss, why the hell are you allowing him to use our set?" Like, was he?
All he saw was the back of your head.
Oh no, he saw
But
me
he
when
did
I
say
walked in.
he did say he was receiving a few tweets.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Really?
COT is on the case.
Oh,
That's
my
what's
God.
happening here.
Yeah.
And so,
Okay.
did he say anything like, "Hey, how do you want me to handle this?" Or did he?
No, he was like, I have to get my makeup off because I need to move on to my next.
Yeah. You know what? I need to get my makeup on because these bags under my eyes have got to go.
That's why I came on to show you some
Yeah,
bigger
you're,
bags.
you're looking good.
Yeah.
You're looking really good.
Justin,
so
you're
that's
the
it.
best.
So he left.
That's it.
He didn't. There was no opportunity to come over here.
No,
like,
he's on times.
There's no like, "Hey, listen, here's the deal, bud."
He's
'cause I
doing
don't,
real
like,
work, Cap.
I still don't know him. And I don't.
You're here
I still don't
tomorrow.
know what the beef is.
Well, guess we'll have to wait till tomorrow.
Okay.
Justin, are you aware of the origination of the beef?
Yes.
Okay, just making
Would
sure.
you tell
I've
me
heard
about
the
it?
whole history
Would-
of
Okay.
multiple layers that I'll leave it there.
Will you
We
tell
gotta
me what it
eject
is?
from this.
Off air?
Yeah, you will.
No.
Why not?
Because it's better to let it just sit out there.
Okay. All right. You know what?
Sometimes a mystery is a good thing.
Let me tell you something that I love about this is that rather than Justin being like Mr. Management and going, "Hey, look, I can't have my guy from ESPN LA and my guy from ESPN National. I can't have these guys beefing like this. I gotta settle this. You guys have to be professionals here." Justin is actually letting it fester, and that's what a good radio manager should do.
Well, I learned it from Bergman. Corporate Greg.
Yes.
Thank you. And on that,
see you later.
See ya.
Thanks,
All right,
Justin.
there he is.
Dynamite
There he is.
drop in, Monty.
There he is.
To quote the great Bob Uecker, the late great, that was fantastic.
Justin Craig with a drop in.
Fortenbaugh.
By the way,
Ball.
before we get back to the Luca conversation, Cappy, since we're talking about makeup and whatnot, I do want to let you know I was listening to Riz the other day, Cleveland
No.
Alert, and
Really?
he was talking to Wendy. Wendy was doing one of his twice a week appearances, and he mentioned that when he found out about the Luca trade, he had just put on his moisturizer and was ready for bed. And he got a little, they were like, "Oh, moisturizer." And I was like, I texted him and I was like, "I think we need to talk to you in the near future here so you can give Cappy some of these skincare tips."
Well-
and he was talking about how he wears more makeup than most people, because he's always on TV. And he had just put on his moisturizer before he found out about the Luca deal. And then next thing you know, he's got to get on TV, got to get on SportsCenter, makeup again, Boom.
Clinton, do you have any facial moisturizing tips that a gentleman like myself, who's now pushing double nickels, okay, and seeing myself on camera and looking like with bags under my eyes and wrinkles on my face that I didn't realize that I even had, do you have any moisturizing skin tips as the president of the Handsome Man community?
Well, I'm going to quote one of the quarterbacks that's playing in this football game. I'm not sure if you guys heard this sound, but somebody asked him how he became to be so handsome.
Jalen Hurts.
And he said, I can't help you there, brother. That's a DNA situation. There is an element of that at play here. But that being said, as somebody that does spend a decent amount of time in makeup chairs, it can be a thing. You do start to learn your routine a little better. I've started taking it more seriously, and that's in the last 10 years or whatever, ever since that. You don't want to go into the makeup chair and have the makeup girls looking at you like, what are you doing to yourself? That's a bad look. You want to be able, it's like, you know how like sometimes for those of you who hire housekeepers, some people like to clean the house before the housekeeper comes. There's a lot of that in the makeup world that I have learned. I got to keep an upkeep, so I'm not forcing them to do things that they shouldn't have to do overall. Here's what the deal's going to be, Cappy. When Clinton and Friends gets underway, you can come over, and our sort of introductory probationary period, I'm only half joking here, can be you can meet the makeup artists at ESPN LA, and you can get some tips from them, actual professionals. Deal?
Deal. And I keep seeing on like Instagram all these guys like promoting these like little drops that you use on your face and how much younger everybody looks. And I haven't bought any of that stuff yet.
Guys, Cappy, you don't need to look younger. You just need to look good for your the slot you're in. That's the goal there. You don't want to be Botoxed out or looking like a goofball. That's not to me. That's not the goal. As a man, you have a privilege that you can look old and people still think you're a reasonably attractive person. You got to take advantage of that so you don't look like a muppet.
I also don't want to look like Joe Fortenbaugh punched me in both eyes and I'm walking around with these big black eyes.
Hold on, real quick. All
right,
Cap. You don't have a skincare routine?
I mean, I use like some oil of Olay, like
you don't use oil of Olay
lotion. And that's it. I don't
like the Clinique anti-aging moisturizer for men.
Can we name a product that's not from the 80s when we're talking about
that's a good one.
Skincare
That's a good. They got a great men's line.
Man, Cap, I gotta get you a skincare routine, man.
You got a skincare routine?
Why don't you
I got one
ask your
for morning
daughters, dog?
That is a good idea. I should ask my daughters.
I feel like this is also like a monetization situation for you potentially. You know what I mean?
Oh, big time. I mean, I think that if I can find the right product, I mean, the next thing I know, I'll be talking about it on air. Hey, guys, are you like me? Do you have bags under your eyes and wrinkles around your face? Well, I've got the product for you.
That's right.
And yes, this could become a monetization situation.
Endorsed by me, Clinton Yates, president of the local chapter of the Handsome Man community.
Is it A-Rod or Derek Jeter who has like makeup for men line now?
I'm guessing it's A-Rod.
Okay. I remember seeing that and being like, interesting. It's a very select audience.
Interessante.
Yeah.
All right, coming up, LeBron James with commentary about what happened when he first heard about the Luka trade and a bunch of other of the post-game comments from last night. The other thing I really want to get to is, Clinton, I want to ask you, and I can't wait to hear what you think about the way the Luka AD trade was covered and what people are saying in the aftermath, because I can't help myself but be a natural-born skeptic, and I didn't believe anybody. And now everybody is kind of putting out there, no, this is all 100% true. This is the way it was. And we'll get into what that means. Coming right back, this is Sedano and Cap on 710 ESPN.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I am from Silmar, California, and I just want to say thank you to all the firefighters for everything that you've done. You are so brave, so just amazing and brave, and we appreciate everything you've done for the city.
You know, I want to thank them. You know, without them, the fire wouldn't be the way it is right now. You know, little help like you guys asked for. You know, I got a few bobbleheads, a few jerseys, a few shirts that are brand new, and some baseball cards.
Thank you so much for the first responders and for the firefighters that are helping the community and the people of California and especially Los Angeles. And thank you so much for your work and keep doing what you're doing. You guys are the real heroes.
My name's Alfredo Famath and I'm from Silmar, right next to the Hearst fire. We got evacuated, but I really want to thank the firefighters for saving my house and my friends' houses. You know, I appreciate you guys, and without you guys, I don't know where to be at, you know, probably without a home, but I really appreciate everything you guys do for us.
What's up, everybody? Cappy here, inside Crypto.com, and I just want to take a second to thank all the first responders, the firefighters, but I'm going to take another direction here. I was talking about it on the air. Our friends at Lazy Dog and LA Live have been feeding all these firefighters. I'm going to send a shout out to all the wait staff who are feeding the firefighters, who can then feel good, be nourished, go to sleep, and then get out there and fight those fires. So to everybody that's helping, appreciate all y'all.
Hey, Henry Ramos here from El Monte. Hey, first responders, thank you for everything you guys are doing, and keep fighting on. And this is for Los Angeles. Thank you guys, and keep going. We love you, LA.
Damages, you call Avner Gat today at 818-917-5256, or you go to avnergat.com. It's 818-917-5256 or avnergat.com. You call, Avner answers, he says hello. Your claim is our game, avnergat.com.
Hey, it's Steve Farr. If you're like me, you just don't want to watch the game. You want the best experience every time. That's why Absolute Sport is a game changer. VIP access to the biggest games, exclusive pregame parties, luxury hotels, whether it's courtside, ringside, or the 50-yard line, Absolute Sport makes sure you're there, not just watching, you're living the action. Visit us.absolute-sport.com. That's ABSOLUT-sport, and make your next sporting experience absolutely unforgettable.
You never expect a Hail Mary pass to win and end the game or getting into an accident. Hey, it's Trav with DeMarco.
Only one all-star defense team you can call to defend you. The personal injury law offices of Joseph S. Normand. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000.
Don't get sacked by others. Joseph will help you achieve the maximum compensation you deserve. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000. That's 213-747-2000.
Let Joseph and his team score a touchdown for you.
Texting enrolls you in a recurring automated marketing text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
The team's looking good this season.
I think so. Man, I miss playing football. Being young with unlimited energy to burn. Ever since I turned 40, I just can't find that fire I used to have.
Think it could be lower testosterone?
What do you mean?
All guys lose their edge when they turn 40. The body has less testosterone. That's why I take Nugenix Total T.
I've heard about Nugenix. That really works?
Since I started taking Nugenix, I'm lifting like when we played for Coach Carter. I feel more energized at work. It's even spiced up things between me and the missus.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try?
Yep, send a text. It's that easy.
Text YOUTH to 42424 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T. It's the #1 selling testosterone-boosting brand at GNC and Walmart. Do it now, and they'll also send you a bottle of Nugenix Thermo X, their newest, most powerful fat burner ever, absolutely free. Text YOUTH to 42424. That's YOUTH to 42424.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is Sedano and Cap for your afternoon drive.
Really? Oh, my B.
Yeah.
My B.
Your B.
On 710 ESPN.
All the stuff about me, why don't they just let me live?
So this song, I contend, is a very important point in the American education system because it taught America the word prerogative. I don't believe that this word was in the sort of regular parlance of most humans, never mind children, when it came out. And I can very much recall people getting in your business. Don't worry about that. That's my prerogative. Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? I learned this word from this song. Bobby Brown, scholar. Not quite a gentleman, but definitely a scholar.
Well, hey, listen, it's like he taught you prerogative. You taught me pugilistic.
Very well. That worked out well.
You know?
Glad to hear it.
Listen.
And George taught us
benevolent.
Right. Benevolent's one of my favorite words.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's really good.
I love it.
Clinton, with all the coverage this week, I know I love following not just the actual trade itself and the news. I like to follow the coverage of things, you know? And I'm just going to be honest about it. I'll be honest to you about it because if I said this to George, he'd scream at me for the next hour and a half. When I heard Shams Charania on Saturday night say LeBron James did not know about this trade, immediately I said, well, LeBron knew about the trade. It's just the way I think. It's just the way I react to things. It's the way I hear stuff. So I'm curious to hear what you think about the coverage. And the reason I'm asking is because I'm going to play for you something that Brian Windhorst said. And would love to hear what you think about this. Lindsay, Brian Windhorst on his skepticism, but now his belief. Let's hear
I
this.
believe everything everybody has said about this deal. Everything that LeBron says, everything that Lucas says, everything Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison, everything that Kyrie said. I believe everybody is telling the truth. I never believe that in the NBA when it comes to the media, what they say in the media. In this case, from what I know, I think everybody is telling the truth.
What do you say, Clinton?
I happened to be with Wendy yesterday. We did not talk about this, but if you want inside reporting on the situation. And the only reason I bring that up is because I happened to be in a situation where he was getting ready to go on TV and they were talking about things that were getting ready to happen. And I gathered from his mood and temperament that this is true. And here's something I want to explain. And I don't want to sound highfalutin. I don't want to sound like I am talking down to anybody. But I do think there's a certain element of journalism that for whatever reason people want to believe that fiction is stranger than the truth when often it's the other way around. And in this particular case, hear me out on this, Scott. This to me, and we're getting specific into the situation regarding LeBron, regarding Luka, and Anthony Davis. If LeBron knew, I think we would have known. And that, I genuinely believe that because there's no world in which I'm to believe that their camp is keeping secrets because that's literally never happened. Like if we're going to do the math on what we're just making assumptions about, which I don't like to do, I try to operate in truths. That's part of what I feel my job is. There's no reason to believe that anybody would lie about this because if I think about with my reason side brain, if somebody did know, it would have gotten leaked. That's kind of the whole thing these days. And so, sure, I understand your skepticism, Scott, and I understand sort of the, for lack of a better term, entertainment value of assuming that somebody was keeping something from somebody. But again, oftentimes, the truth is stranger than fiction because otherwise this would not have made sense to even go that way had somebody known. Does that make sense, Scott Kaplan?
It makes a lot of sense with like one little thing I'd like to kind of just poke at a little bit.
Okay.
I hear what you're saying, and I understand why, George and I went back and forth on this on Monday.
I was listening.
Because he was like, no, man. He's like, if you're playing poker, you don't tell the guy sitting next to you that you have, a straight or a flush or a full house, whatever poker terms I should use.
Right.
If you let somebody know, then there's a great opportunity it could be leaked. Fair point. My skepticism was based on I can't think of a moment in LeBron's tenure with the Lakers where LeBron was not consulted or LeBron himself wasn't making the decision or perhaps maybe LeBron could nix the decision. So for me, based on all the history, I found it hard to believe that the Lakers didn't tell LeBron. And, oh, by the way, that J.J. Redick, LeBron's essentially hand-chosen coach, knew before LeBron himself. And LeBron would find out after the deal was consummated rather than at least having an opportunity to opine in advance of said consummation.
So let's investigate why you believe that. Let's test the theory of your knowledge, as we like to say.
All right.
Why does it matter to you in that context if LeBron knew or not in terms of how the transaction would have gone either way? Like, what purpose do you have to believe that it was necessary for LeBron to know?
Well, the main purpose is because you have to be careful about LeBron's reaction to things.
Okay.
So my thought at the time was, if LeBron didn't know, might he be insulted that he wasn't consulted? And then that might turn into another reaction because remember, and by the way, LeBron kind of cleared this all up for everybody, which was, hey, listen, if I wasn't happy about the move, I would waive my no-trade clause and me and Bronny would get traded.
Right. Okay, so the reason I say that is because then that begs the question, do you believe that a power structure has changed within, forget about just the locker room, but the franchise as a result? Is that what you're getting to when you ask the questions about whether or not Bronny knew or not?
Yes, great question. So that's exactly was my thought. If they did not tell him, then he might be upset by that But on the other hand, the Lakers would have said with their actions, not with their words, here's what's going on moving forward. The listen to LeBron, get rid of this coach, then listen to LeBron, bring in this player, then the listen to LeBron, get rid of this coach, and make this move. Those days would be gone. So that's where a lot of my skepticism was. It was, if he was told, then perhaps there's this reaction, and if he wasn't told, then perhaps there's this reaction.
Okay, now, all that being on the table, now let's bring that all together.
Okay.
And if you, Scott Kaplan, are running the Lakers, and your ultimate goal is the power play of somewhat clipping LeBron's wings, if that's what your theory operationally is, which way would you do it, Scott? Would you tell him and force a confrontation where you say, guess what, we don't care, you're out, Tom, as the Godfather quotes, or would you do it secretly and have him react? This is where the logic builds start to come together. Do you see what I'm saying here?
I mean, actually, not only do I see it, I love the way you've brought it home. So, yes, to answer your question, yes.
You would have done it the way that this happened, right?
Because if my goal, great job, Clinton.
Thank you.
If my goal was to say, we're taking back our organization, we now make decisions without consulting LeBron because we're no longer worried about LeBron leaving us. We're no longer worried about LeBron in the future. We're concerned with the future of the organization, not appeasing LeBron. So if we're going to do this without telling him, that's our message. We're taking back our team.
See how that worked out?
Yeah, that was really good.
I'm doing my best.
That was really good. I mean,
Clinton
George
friends,
just yells at me.
Starting on Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. on ESPN 7.
Right.
I'm joking, but that's sort of my logic here, is that if you're going to ultimately say the whole point, and I don't mean you, I mean one, and I mean in general, that you're trying to do whatever, you want to call it a hostile takeover, you want to call it a takeover back of the franchise, or simply just making an executive decision, you wouldn't do it the other way. Like, forget about all of the palace intrigue. It just wouldn't make sense communicationally, in my opinion, and that's why I believe all of this, as stated, just like Wendy said, to be true. That's what I'm saying, Kathy.
Clinton Yates is in for Sedano. Before we get to Radio Tinder, I want to remind all the dads out there, Clinton, by the way, how are you enjoying new fatherhood?
It's going well. This kid is huge, okay? He's 10 weeks old, and he's wearing the 6-month-old clothes. It's turning into a whole situation. This man is a monster, and I love him for it. Shouts to Keanu.
So I want to say this. Fathers are absolutely essential to a child's well-being. And if you find yourself in a situation where you are being cut out of your child's life because so many times the legal system often unfairly favors the mother in custody disputes, Real Father's Rights, we're here to help you guys. And believe me, I've been through this stuff before, okay? Not exactly purely just like being cut out, but like all the financial related problems, and I've talked a lot about this on the air, and I'm not embarrassed about it. I'm happy to share it. Real Father's Rights is fighting for dads, okay? And making sure that the dad is in the kid's life. So if you're a dad and you are feeling sidelined in your child's life, you got to get the justice you deserve. That's Real Father's Rights, the Father's Rights attorneys, helping fathers navigate family court. Whether that is child custody or child support or divorce or domestic violence or restraining orders, Real Father's Rights, we are here to help. Whether it's in L.A., Orange County, the Inland Empire, San Diego, we are here to help. Here's the phone number that is exclusive for 710 listeners. Guys, write it down. You could probably remember it. 833-ESPN 710, 833-ESPN 710, and we now have our own dedicated website just for 710 listeners. It's RFR, like Real Father's Rights, RFR710.com. That's RFR710.com. Let's get real with Mark Real and Real Father's Rights. Radio Tinder, next.
Saturday in North Carolina, the Kings powered their way to a 4-2 win over the Hurricanes, led by forward Kevin Fiala.
Kings guided up top, deflected out. Foot race back through neutral ice to collect it, and the Kings take over. Right wing, Fiala steps into the middle. Fiala waits, shoots, scores! What a goal! Kevin Fiala, and the Kings lead it 3-1 here in the second period. hole, pressured right wing, and it's back into the neutral zone. Skated away by LA, and they come. Fiala shoots, scores! Kevin Fiala, he's done it again! And with 8:20 to play in the third, it's 4-2 LA!
Tonight, the Kings begin a 6-game stretch on home ice against an original 6 opponent, the Montreal Canadiens. Don't miss the action. Listen live at 7:30 on the all-new ESPN LA app.
So happy with Seller's Advantage.
Some things you wouldn't mind being stuck with, like a huge inheritance. But a phone that has to be plugged in just right so it charges is not one of those things. Switch to Verizon and we'll pay off your old phone up to $800 via prepaid MasterCard for a new one on us. Just trade in any phone from our top brands with select unlimited plans. $829.99 purchase with new smartphone line on select unlimited plans. Minimum $90 per month auto pay plus taxes and fees for 36 months required. Less $830 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. Trade-in terms apply. Payoff phone requires smartphone purchase and port-in with new smartphone line on select plan. Must provide most recent bill showing payoff amount of eligible phone. Additional terms apply.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold at $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
And it is Sedano and Cap. Around 5:30 p.m. in the Southland, Radio Tinder time. We like to play a TV theme. You can follow her at Lindsay Baseball on Twitter or Instagram. Don't forget about our sponsor, Tequila Mandala. Always swipe right on Tequila Mandala. Take it away, producer Lindsay.
You know this wrestling theme, Cappy? The legend.
I want to feel like it's The Undertaker.
No.
Come on. Not even close?
No.
Wow. I mean, I
The
have to take a
Undertaker
guess.
doesn't even. I mean, it's a song, but The Undertaker has a drop, and then a build-up, and then a song. Come on.
I mean, I
don't even know who this is, but I definitely know it's not The Undertaker.
Definitely not The Undertaker.
Come on.
I'll just say this. I'll just say this. I'm a little out of the wrestling world, unfortunately.
Okay, well, this is Andre the Giant, which is like one of the
but
OGs.
I don't remember this. Like, if you would have played, like, Odyssey 5000 or whatever it is, I would have said Ric Flair. I got that one.
Yeah.
This one I don't ever remember, and I saw Andre the Giant in person probably 5 times as a kid.
That's because he's such a spectacle that no one's listening to his music. They're all staring at him.
That's 100% true.
Would never have known.
You could have played the Princess Bride music, and I would have thought
true.
Andre
Yeah.
Giant before I would have thought this.
Would never know.
The
Oh,
Giant.
we need George for his Paul Bearer impression. He does that
Oh,
one
and by the
pretty
way,
good.
Lindsay, your boy Tony Khan's going to be here working Radio Row tomorrow.
Oh, really? He's going to be on our show, I believe, next week.
His father has got this yacht, this mega yacht, and it is parked on the Mississippi River, right outside, like right on downtown New Orleans. Clinton,
Are you
telling
angling?
Clinton, I'm telling you this right now. This yacht has to be 300-400 feet. It's got to be a $500 million vessel. You've never seen anything like it in your life.
Excellent use of the term vessel there. I like that.
Thank you. Thank you very
are you
much.
angling to get on this boat, Scott? I know how you are.
Probably could.
Not only am I angling on
Not
it.
to be employed on the boat.
No.
To be a guest.
Well, but I'm not even asking Tony Khan. You know who I decided to ask? Yesterday, the Jacksonville Jaguars announced the hiring of my friend Tony Baselli as their executive vice president, and he's like the right-hand guy. So this way, Tony and his dad don't have to really operate the team.
Sure.
Tony Baselli can handle things, and that's the guy I went to say, I got to get on this boat.
SC legend Tony Baselli.
How much do you think did you say you thought his yacht was worth, Cappy?
I mean, it could be anywhere from like $100 million to $500 million.
How are you evaluating yachts? Are
I
you just
Googled it.
eyeballing? Okay.
I
Yeah, I'm eyeballing it, Clinton. That's all.
I was going to say, Scott looked at the boats. He said, yeah, it's about 50 mil. I can fit that in under the cap. Yeah.
Yep, 400-foot super yacht worth about, $450 million.
Hey, how about that? Not too bad.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Nice
All right,
job.
Lindsay, baseball.
Hey,
Let's get to some Radio Tinder.
Cappy, if you want to charter it, you can charter it for about $3.2 million a week.
A week.
Uh-huh.
That's not counting gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
All right, so I saw this post on Instagram yesterday from the American Heart Association, and it says that Kendrick Lamar's Not Like Us has 101 beats per minute, which is the right tempo for hands-only CPR. And so it says, you can help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see a teen or adult collapse, call 911 and push hard and fast in the center of the chest to the rhythm of Not Like Us.
This is the rhythm of the night. Different song.
So that's kind of cool. And I thought about it, and I was like, okay, yeah, I get that. I get that. So, and next time you're ever in a situation where you need to, like, administer CPR, just think of, they're not like us. They're not like us. So I wanted to ask you guys, have you ever had to administer CPR or had it administered to you? Swipe left or swipe right. Clinton, you go first.
I will tell a quick story. I have not had to administer CPR, but I have done the training. I did it in high school. But I will tell you a story, Scott, that you might actually relate to reasonably well. So when I went to Miami University, Miami of Ohio, home of the Redhawks, Ben Roethlisberger was the quarterback when I was there. I covered him. We were friends. We lived in the same quad. It was a whole thing. And we took a class together. And in one of those classes, one time, 8 a.m. class, some guy had a medical emergency. And I will never forget, Ben stood up because a bunch of dudes from his team were in the class, and he kind of, honestly, sort of audibled everybody at the position and said, yo, and he pointed to a guy who I think was a kick returner. It wasn't Sean McVay. He pointed to a guy that was a kick returner and said, yo, you, CPR. And the guy did it before the actual nurses or whatever came, or the first responders came. And I will never forget that in my life. Like, he knew who on his team was good at it, and he pointed that guy in the direction. And I'm not going to say he saved the guy's life, but it was really cool. So that happened. Yeah.
That is cool. I have never administered CPR, and thankfully have never had it administered to me. But I once was getting ready to go on the air one day, and one of the guys who worked in our promotions department, I'm standing there talking to him, and all of a sudden he, like, rolls his eyes, like, back in his head and goes backwards and falls down on the ground and was having, like, an epileptic seizure, you know?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, so I played the Ben Roethlisberger role. I was like, you do this, you do that, you call this, you call them, and we'll all – and, of course, I didn't know what to do other than tell everybody else what to do.
Sure. Yeah, no, it's scary.
It is scary.
CPR worth learning, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And if you never do learn it, just remember, not like us. Yep, that's how you do it.
Let me tell you something, Clinton, right now.
Yeah.
God forbid something happens and you need me to deliver CPR to you. I will CPR you. I will mouth-to-mouth you. I will do everything humanly possible to make sure that you are revived.
Morales, clip that. Okay, that's what we're looking for right there. That was A+ work, Scott.
All right, so speaking of Kendrick Lamar, there's that ongoing feud between him and Drake.
Slow down.
Obviously.
Slow down. We are not going to use present participles for things that have already ended.
Well, it's ongoing because Drake just reignited it last night.
Okay.
So it's the first show on his new tour that he's embarked upon. Mm-hmm. And
where's he at? Nova Scotia? Edmonton?
I think he's over.
Alberta?
I'm not sure exactly where it is, but I know it's
That'd be
overseas.
funny.
So during the opening show on his new tour, Drake took a jab at LeBron and Kendrick with a subtle lyric change to his record Nonstop. So we all know that, like, LeBron is Team Kendrick.
If you're watching on the
feud,
YouTube chat, you can see my face right now.
right? So Drake changed one of his lyrics to, I guess, diss LeBron, and he said, "How I go from 6 to 23, but not LeBron, man." I'm not sure what that means.
Is that a diss? I don't know if that's a diss or not. I don't
Apparently
know.
it's an ongoing feud, so you tell us, Linz.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm just reading a story that I found that I thought
I'm
was
being
interesting.
funny. I'm being funny. My point here is this guy's mega lame.
Well, I was going to ask, do you guys think that, okay, obviously, like, now Drake has already tried to release the response diss track that everyone's just like, okay, no, this isn't working. Kendrick is the biggest thing in the world right now. He's doing the Super Bowl. He just won all the Grammys. Do you think that there's any way Drake is ever coming back from this? Swipe left or swipe right? Cappy, you go first.
I'm going to say, as a non-hip-hop insider, that I think that Drake can return.
Okay.
Because while, like, real hip-hop fans know about this feud, like, people who are not in the know don't know because they don't know because they don't know. Did that make a lot of sense, or
Sure.
did that not make any sense?
Unknown knowns versus known unknowns, right.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that I think Drake can make a comeback, but it certainly hasn't looked very good for him here in the last, what would you say, year or so?
6 months, thereabouts.
Yeah. I don't know. You tell me, Clinton, can he make a comeback?
No.
He's
Simple
done.
as that.
He's
the
done.
reason why I don't want to say this sound like a diss, but for those listeners out there who are of a certain age, the reason why your mom knows who Drake is because of Kendrick Lamar. That's a problem in terms of being able to come back, is what I'm getting at here. And I'm not trying to get all into it, but it's like, hey, man, you went up against the wrong person, you tested the wrong culture, you went about it the wrong way, and you got your card pulled. Happens. That's called why they play the games, kiddos.
It's a shame because I liked Drake up until
I will give some credence to that. There is an element of, man, you wasted it on this.
Yeah.
You thought this was the guy to go after. Terrible play call. In a red zone situation, fumble, sack, strip, ball game, tutty the other way, game over.
See, but for me, he's like my half Hebraic hermano.
Don't do that.
What
Don't
do you
do that. You don't want that. That's not what you want to be affiliated with, Scott.
Oh, really?
I'm telling you.
So I should really distance myself from Drake completely.
I would say so. That would be my advice in this scenario. Yes.
Okay, so I should also like jump over to Team Kendrick, even though I really never.
You don't even need to do that.
Okay.
You don't need to do that. You just need to distance yourself from the Canadian in this particular case because that is a no-win scenario, is what I'm getting at.
DeAndre, is Clinton Yates right? Is this a no-win
You
scenario?
need another brother to back up what I'm saying. You don't
Just want
believe
another
what I'm
brother's
actually
opinion.
getting
Just want a second brother's opinion.
Yeah,
That's
man,
all.
I wouldn't be rolling with Drake right now. I would say though, as far as him making a comeback and return, people are gonna listen to his music because Drake is a pop artist. He's a popular culture artist. He's worldwide. But I would say, as far as his comeback, as far as doing diss tracks, he shouldn't make any more diss tracks.
No, he just
at
stopped
all.
rapping.
He is done.
He should have stopped rapping 5 years ago. I've said this a million times. He's an actual thespian who is not that bad at acting in roles. He should have shifted to that long ago and would have been an actually respected person playing roles in TV shows that we watch or movies that we watch. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to be on the stage, rapping and yapping. That didn't work out. Might be too late to do the other.
Especially against a lyrical artist like Kendrick, man. Like you said, you picked the wrong one.
Yeah,
man.
right, exactly. Come on now.
He just needs to lay low for a couple of years, and people will be excited when he comes back. Maybe.
DeAndre, don't I have those Kendrick Nikes?
Yeah,
No, they're the Travis Scotts.
Yeah, there you go. Travis Scotts. That's right. Yeah.
Well,
You can't mix
Los
them
Angeles.
up.
I was like Kendrick Nikes. When do you have a collab?
Does
Fair
Kendrick
enough,
have
though.
a McDonald's
That's a
deal
good
or
idea.
something?
Swinging at a pitch outside the zone. That's fair, Scott.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, I'm way outside.
It's okay. What's next?
That's it for Radio Tinder.
That's the end of it, huh? That's where it comes to an end.
Yes.
All right.
Mustard!
Hey,
I just wanted to do that.
Clinton, let me tell you about Prize Picks, and let me tell everybody who's listening about Prize Picks, and let me start off by saying this. If you haven't done it by now, you should do it right this second. Download the Prize Picks app, use the code CAPPY, K-A-P-P-Y, make your first $5 play, instantaneously get a $50 bonus. Now think about this. This upcoming weekend is the big game, because you can't use the other phraseology. Nonetheless, this upcoming Sunday, it's the last football game of the season, so last chance to dance. Patrick Mahomes, do you suppose that Patrick Mahomes is going to throw for more than half of a yard this upcoming Sunday? My guess is that he will. That's a free square on Prize Picks. They're giving you Patrick Mahomes essentially for free. So if you took Patrick Mahomes at more than half a yard, and DeAndre, do you think that Saquon Barkley is going to rush for more than 120 yards in this game?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you would say more on Patrick Mahomes, free square, check. More on Saquon Barkley, and if Saquon goes more than 120 yards, you win. If you put two players together like that and you win, you multiply your money by 3 times. $20 turns into $60. But you can actually multiply your money by 1,000 times. Can you imagine taking a $20 bill, multiplying it by 1,000 times, and now you're sitting there with 20 grand? That can happen for you on Prize Picks. It'll take some skill. It'll take some homework, but it can happen. So let's all get out there this weekend, play the last football game of the season, download the Prize Picks app, use the code CAPPY, make the $5 play, get the $50 bonus. Prize Picks. Let's do it now. Run your game.
Saturday in North Carolina, the Kings powered their way to a 4-2 win over the Hurricanes, led by forward Kevin Fiala.
Kings guided up top, deflected out. Foot race back through neutral ice to collect it, and the Kings take over. Right wing, Fiala steps into the middle. Fiala waits, shoots, scores! What a goal! Kevin Fiala, and the Kings lead it 3-1 here in the second period. Hull pressured right wing, and it's back into the neutral zone. Skated away by LA, and they come. Fiala shoots, scores! Kevin Fiala, he's done it again! And with 8:20 to play in the third, it's 4-2 LA!
Tonight, the Kings begin a 6-game stretch on home ice against an original 6 opponent, the Montreal Canadiens. Don't miss the action. Listen live at 7:30 on the all-new ESPN LA app.
Flowers from the Bouqs Company. That's Bouqs, short for bouquets. Go to their website, BOUQS.com, and wow, your Valentine. And you get 25% off your entire purchase. Bouqs makes it simple. Choose the Quickie Bouque. With the click of a button, get their best-selling bouquet right on time for Valentine's Day. It's the Quickie she'll brag about for weeks, yeah. Or pick from their collection of unique modern designs, or go for their flowers subscription and be the hero every month with the subscription. Bouqs just aren't any flowers either. The flowers are cut fresh from where they grow the best, so you get bigger, brighter blooms that last longer. Valentine's Day is February 14th, right after the big game, so don't fumble the flowers, man. Get your order in now. Go to Bouqs.com. That's BOUQS. Use the promo code ESPN for 25% off. That's BOUQS.com. Promo code ESPN. Bouqs. Promo code ESPN.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one?
We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
If you're looking for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance, we're Term Provider, experts in finding affordable term life insurance for those that may not be in perfect health. Prostate cancer, heart conditions, high cholesterol, or on prescription medications, you may still qualify for $500,000 to $1 million or more of affordable term life insurance. Call Term Provider at 800-444-9336. 800-444-9336.
This is Sedano and Cap for your afternoon drive.
Walks around like a little puppy dog.
On 710 ESPN.
I go from 6 to 23 like I'm LeBron. Serving up a pack.
Yeah.
Serving up a pack. Pulling gimmicks because they scared of rap. Funny how they
Should I not like this song?
Play any more Drake for no other reason than we don't have to hear the Cappy, yeah. Then please don't. I'm joking. How are you, Scott? How are you getting through the night at the kids' table, as Lindsay called it, at Radio?
Kevin Demoff called it that first, which we will hear from next hour.
See that?
Kevin Demoff, the president of the Rams, will be with us here at the top of the hour when we go commercial-free for 30 minutes, primarily because of a really big announcement that the Rams made earlier today here in New Orleans about their future, internationally speaking. So Kevin Demoff coming up top of the hour, and we'll have that for you. Spoke to him, I don't know, about an hour or so ago, and so Kevin will be here. Clinton, I want you to hear Kendrick Perkins because so many people now are trying to play basketball analyst. You know, it went from Luka, AD, was Shams hacked, I can't believe it, to now that it's real, and we saw Luka sitting on the Laker bench last night. Now it's, how will these two guys play together? I hear it all the time. LeBron needs the ball in his hands. Luka needs the ball in his hands. They're ball-dominant players.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll never work. Here's what Big Perk had to say about this notion that it will never work.
You know what pisses me off is
people that says and constantly say that LeBron James can't play off the ball. Newsflash, LeBron James actually wants to play off the ball. Matter of fact, he's been better playing off the ball. He just have to play the point guard on this team. Now you bring in Luka, another primary that's going to be the primary ball handler. We're going to see LeBron James as a different player. He's going to be more of a screener. He's going to be more of a slasher. He's shooting the three at a high clip this season. And yes, they're going to win games. They're going to get into the playoffs. They are a top 4 team in the Western Conference. I wish people would stop with this. They can't play together. They can't play out. And here's another thing. If Luka was giving people 38 and 9 and he was out of shape, imagine what he's going to do to the rest of the league once he gets under LeBron James' wing.
Clinton, what do you think about what Big Perk had to say?
So there's two things I have to say. I almost – Perk is a friend of mine. I see Perk a lot over on the TV side. So I talk to Perk a lot. And I'm realizing that when I hear Perk's voice and I can't see his face, it is a much different and better experience. Like, I need a GPS with Perk's voice on it. Tell me, make a left. Idea. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need that's what I need in my life. Secondly, I agree with him 100%. Basketball players know how to play basketball. And let me tell you what helps good basketball players play better basketball. Hardcore analysis, kiddos. Playing with other players that are good too. And I only say that because LeBron is an IQ guy on a lot of levels that people don't give him credit for. People look at LeBron, they see the frame, they see the ability, they see the scoring, they see the size, and they don't think that he's a smart player for whatever reason. They assume it's all kind of God-given talent. And DeAndre, you know what I'm talking about here. LeBron is a brilliant basketball mind. If he can't figure out how to play with a Luka, then something's wrong with Luka. And I don't think anything's wrong with Luka because that's why he's on the medal stand of the best players in the league. I do not see this being an issue. I understand the concern. Ideally, you don't necessarily have two players that you think need the ball that much, but Perk has got this exactly right. If LeBron wasn't as versatile at this stage of his career as he is, then we wouldn't be playing in the league right now. DeAndre, I need your thoughts on this because I don't want to do the you don't know ball situation. I'm not talking to you, Scott. I'm talking about people in general where you're like, yo, bro, you see those two guys on the court, they're going to figure it out. It's pretty simple.
And, I mean, there's been times where Austin Reeves has been the primary ball handler this season. I mean, he's been carrying – I mean, there's a reason why Austin Reeves was flirting around with a double-double night in and night out because he was able to bring up the ball and LeBron was able to – he was able to get them into their sets. And that's why when you have a coach like J.J. Redick who knows how to plug in and put guys in the right places, the right spots is good. But can I just say one thing? Because Cap has been on this narrative too. Hold on.
And the gloves are off.
And everyone's been on this narrative about Luka Doncic's conditioning, how he's out of shape. But there's one thing that you can't teach, and that is talent, skill, and Luka Doncic.
Getting buckets, Scott.
Luka Doncic, he might be out of shape or out of shape.
Sure.
His condition might be terrible. But there's one thing that he does that not a lot of people in the NBA do. He plays at his own pace. You can't speed him up. You can't make him do anything that he's uncomfortable with doing. He can score in 3 different levels. He can get to the free throw line. He can shoot the hell out the ball. Mm-hmm. I mean, this guy was an NBA scoring champ.
And he can get to the bucket, yeah.
He was an NBA scoring champ about a year or two ago. So when you add a guy like that who you can't speed up and who knows, who can see the ball really well, you don't think LeBron James will benefit off of that with the off ball? You don't think he can?
I'm 100% with you.
That's what I'm saying. So like this narrative, like, oh, he's out of shape. Okay, if he was out of shape, he was getting 30 points when he was out of shape. That's what I'm saying. Like this narrative, he's out of shape. He doesn't take conditioning well.
It don't matter.
It's what I've been saying. It's what I've been saying for 2 days. The Dallas Mavericks decided to make their business decision. And if you believe every report, their general manager focused in on Anthony Davis, which is why they did not open it up for trade. They could have gotten so much more from somebody else for Luka. They said they wanted Anthony Davis. And when they were trading Luka and the fans are out front of the arena and there's a casket there and people are screaming, sell the team, and they're willing and people are canceling their season tickets, why do the Dallas Mavericks trade Luka? Their answer was, he's fat, he's out of shape, we're worried about his future conditioning, he's always got this calf injury because he's carrying around too much weight. I don't buy it for a second. You look at last year and the number of games he played, the number of minutes he played, the number of points he scored. Listen, you may tell me that he's carrying around 15 or 20 extra pounds, and maybe that's the case, and maybe he'd score 3 more points per game. Maybe he'd play 1 more minute per game if he lost 15 pounds. Maybe he wouldn't. But this idea that he's out of shape is so ridiculous to me. And so when Big Perk says that he's pissed off that he hears people say that LeBron and Luka can't play together, that pisses me off as well. And by the way, we're not talking about 2 5'11" point guards here.
Right.
We're talking about 2 guys who are both 6'8". They're both brilliant basketball guys. They'll figure out a way to make this all work. But it's kind of like Shaq said last night. Luka is still better than like almost everybody, even with what he looks like. Lindsay, can you play what Shaq said last night?
Sure can. Let's hear what Shaq had to say.
It wasn't really a chip on my shoulder because I didn't work out during the summer because I had other obligations, family, children, and I wanted to work my way into shape. That was my method. It worked for me. There was a lot of so-called methods of how to get it done. You know, you come in shape and you become a first ballot Hall of Famer, you win 3 championships in a row. That's your way. My way, I did it my way, and I'm happy with the way I did it.
What do you think of Luka's way?
I mean, I don't know. He doesn't look out of shape to me. Like, I need to know what the term when you say out of shape, is he fat? Does he have a six-pack? Does he not have it? Like, are we talking body fat?
A lot of stories he's ballooned up to 270.
Because one of my best friends just told me fat Luka is better than 99.9% of all the guards in the game. So, you know, in shape Luka, 5 years, first team NBA. Fat Luka or this out of shape Luka, first team All NBA 5 years. So, you know, if that's the case, they let him go. Obviously, I would definitely have to blame management because there's better ways to handle that.
Scott, let me just say this. I don't need to sit around and talk about Luka's body image to know that LeBron James and Luka Doncic are going to be fine on a court together. This is not Magic Johnson joining a team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the middle from a simple basketball standpoint. You see what I'm saying? Like, in terms of the way that the game works in the NBA these days, these two figuring it out is a far lower hurdle to clear than I think a lot of these matchup issues that people seem to think are going to be a problem are. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both smart basketball players who both have very versatile games. That's why you trade for him to begin with. Otherwise, this would be completely asinine, and to me, it's not.
I know, and I actually think the Lakers are going to be better. And listen, last night, just going back to that Clipper game last night, you would have thought that with no Anthony Davis, no Max Christie, that this team – and by the way, no Luka yet on the roster,
right?
That you're down essentially 3 guys, and that maybe the Lakers might come out like, hey, I'm not really sure who we are or what we are. And they came out last night and they did something. Since you've asked DeAndre, we've been complaining about effort. Last night, the Clippers looked like they had someplace else to be, and the Lakers came out and said, we're about to get significantly better. And I better take my shots while I still have an opportunity to take my shots. And there was a time, man, they couldn't miss. And they played with effort and heart last night.
And I don't know if that was a message that was sent to Luka, like, hey, look, man, like, this is what you're going to get on a night in and night out basis. Like, if you come in here, this is what the team will look like.
Good point.
Even when you're on the court, it will be even better when you're on the court. So I'm curious to see what
That's why you play the games, though, dog.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why it's not a simulation. You get out there, you got to see what the dudes can actually do. And if the dudes are motivated by Luka being on the bench in street clothes or warm-ups, whatever you want to call them, that's a good thing for this team, man. There's no world in which I'm acting like this is a problem for the Lakers.
I know. Every basketball analyst that tells me about ball domination and inability to work together, I'm like, you guys are crazy. You don't have to be a basketball expert to figure out that these two guys are going to be great together. Hey, listen, coming up, Kevin Demoff and the big announcement from the Rams today. We'll get to that coming up in a matter of moments. But I want to say to everybody, if you are dealing with a flood in your home, if you've got severe flood damage, you got to call Avner Gatt. Because if your insurance company is turning on you and they won't approve a replacement living arrangement and the adjuster is like leaving you feeling like you're some kind of a criminal, you got to take a breath, relax, and know that there's help right around the corner. That's Avner Gatt, one of Southern California's largest public adjuster firms. Avner Gatt knows how to fight back when your insurance company is making you feel like, wait a second, I don't understand. I pay you every month, and now you're not going to help me out? And Avner is the guy that has the team of people and has the relationships in the industry and the 20 years of experience that he knows how to handle this kind of situation. So if you're looking at a toilet overflow, a broken water line, a burst supply line, maybe your fire sprinkler's broke, whatever the water damage is, call Avner Gatt today. Here's his number. You probably know it by now. 818-917-5256, 818-917-5256. His website is Avner, A-V-N-E-R-G-A-T, avnergatt.com. Call him, 818-917-5256. You call, he'll answer. You'll know it's him when you hear, hello, Avner Gatt. Your claim, our game.
Hi, my name is Victoria. I am from Silmar, California, and I just want to say thank you to all the firefighters for everything that you've done. You are so brave, so just amazing and brave, and we appreciate everything you've done for the city.
I want to thank them. Without them, the fire wouldn't be the way it is right now. Little help like you guys asked for. I got a few bobbleheads, a few jerseys, a few shirts that are brand new, and some baseball cards.
Thank you so much for the first responders and for the firefighters that are helping the community and the people of California and especially Los Angeles. And thank you so much for your work and keep doing what you're doing. You guys are the real heroes.
My name's Alfredo Famath, and I'm from Silmar, right next to the Hearst fire. We got evacuated, but I really want to thank the firefighters for saving my house and my friends' houses. I appreciate you guys, and without you guys, I don't know where to be at, probably without a home, but I really appreciate everything you guys do for us.
What's up, everybody? Cappy here, InsideCrypto.com, and I just want to take a second to thank all the first responders, the firefighters, but I'm going to take another direction here. I was talking about it on the air. Our friends at Lazy Dog and LA Live have been feeding all these firefighters. I'm going to send a shout out to all the wait staff who are feeding the firefighters, who can then feel good, be nourished, go to sleep, and then get out there and fight those fires. So to everybody that's helping, appreciate all y'all.
Hey, Henry Ramos here from El Monte. Hey, first responders, thank you for everything you guys are doing, and keep fighting on. And this is for Los Angeles. Thank you guys, and keep going. We love you, LA.
10.com. Hi, this is Sean McVay of your LA Rams. The Rams play here. KSPN, Los Angeles.
710 ESPN.
A good karma brands radio station.
This is the city, Los Angeles, California.
It's 5 p.m. in the Southland.
Turn it up, man.
Time to blow that 5 o'clock whistle with Sedano and Cappy.
That's right, it's the 5 o'clock hour on Sedano and Cap. And it's time for 30 minutes non-stop.
Sedano and Cap on 710 ESPN.
With fun and frivolity, tomfoolery and hijinks, and Cappy doing his thing, thanks to our friends at Real Father's Rights. Real Father's Rights, the father's rights attorney. Visit realfathersrights.com or call 951-482-7517. Let's do it, 5 o'clock in the Southland.
30 minutes of non-stop Sedano and Cap starts now.
You ready for this? And time for the Real Father's Rights 5 o'clock hour on 710 ESPN. Let's do it, Jack!
Yeah, top of the 5 o'clock hour. Sedano and Cap here on 710 ESPN. Clinton Yates is in for Sedano. Got DeAndre at the controls. Got Lindsay Baseball in the back and making suggestions, as she likes to say. So we've been on fire here in the last 2 days. And what I mean by that is yesterday, Sedano getting to the Luka press conference and then having an opportunity to go one-on-one with Rob Pelinka, that was awesome. And then later yesterday in the broadcast, Sedano going one-on-one with Luka. So we had Sedano on assignment in L.A. at the Laker facility yesterday. I, on the other hand, am here in the other L.A., Louisiana, New Orleans, and on Radio Row getting ready for the Super Bowl this upcoming weekend. Well, earlier today, the Rams made a really big announcement. And even earlier than this time of the broadcast today, Kevin Demoff, the president of the Rams, came over here to our ESPN set here on Radio Row. And this is the conversation. And if you've missed the announcement, here's what Kevin told everybody. So here's Kevin Demoff on Sedano and Cap. Kevin, good to see you, man.
We had to come all this way.
I know, right? Like, it always bothered me, like, when my kids played youth soccer, when, like, we'd play a team that we knew from across town, but we were in Vegas. Like, why are we getting together in L.A. as in Louisiana rather than L.A. as in real L.A.?
I wish we were getting together to talk about us playing in this game, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But it would have been fun to have been here together and doing that, but instead we get to hang out here anyways.
Yeah, it's good to see you, man. And today was a really cool announcement, and I had gotten like a little bit of a word in advance that this was all going down. I'm like, no way. So can we tell all the Rams fans who are listening on 710 back in L.A. what you guys are doing?
Yeah, so we're going to likely open this. We're going to play a home game in Australia, in Melbourne, in 2026, likely to be early in the season to give us a chance to come back and kind of recuperate. That's still up in the air. But, the first game, regular season game ever played in Australia by the NFL, really the first regular season game in the Asia-Pacific area. And so we've had marketing rights in Australia for the past few years, had a ton of great relationships. We took the Super Bowl trophy down to Melbourne in Sydney. We've done a ton of activations with the teams down there. So Melbourne Cricket Ground, 100,000 people.
Wow.
Likely this means it'll be the largest attended potentially NFL game in history.
Wow.
When you just look at sheer number of people going, and great opportunity to go expand our brand. And, with the way the NFL works now, with the team having to give up a home game every 4 years for the international, we knew our time was coming up. And if we were going to not play a home game at SoFi Stadium for the first time, it had to be an opportunity that was so rare and so exciting to raise our hand. And truly playing the first game in Australia checks all those boxes.
How do the Rams become the team, though, of Melbourne, Australia? I mean, I'm going to guess that there were other teams, maybe other than Jacksonville, who's like the team of London. I'm sure there was probably competition, or other people may have wanted it.
Well, look, I think two things. Like, we have marketing rights in Australia, as do the Eagles. We're the two teams that currently do in Australia and New Zealand. We also are the only team really with marketing rights. We have them in Korea and China and Japan. We really have that Asia-Pacific area. I think there are a couple of reasons. First, we were the first to raise our hand. If the NFL was going to Australia, we wanted a chance to go play there and be part of that. The second, obviously, proximity-wise, we are the closest, team to Australia. So easiest for us to go. It gets longer if you start talking about teams on the East Coast. But what an opportunity. I mean, I think you guys know us, and I think our fans do. The bolder, the bigger we can build our brand, the more things we can do different on the field and off the field, we'll always raise our hands for, and certainly having a chance to play the first regular season game in Australia does that.
Do you say that you guys, the Rams, have the marketing rights for that area? So how does that work? I don't mean to get so overly business techie on everybody, but how does an individual NFL team have something versus the entire league?
Yeah, so for the NFL and international market, the NFL basically, if you take a small slice, like you are allowed to do partnerships in your vicinity. So like our deal with SoFi, for example, means that SoFi has marketing rights with the Rams anywhere basically in Southern California. They can do that, but they can't do it in Las Vegas. And the same is true when you look at it internationally. Teams don't have any rights. And so a few years ago, the NFL said, okay, to help grow the game internationally, we're going to let you go take your brand and do partnerships with companies, or other teams in other markets as opposed to that. So if you wanted to go to, it used to be, hey, if you want to go to Australia, you could maybe go, but you couldn't do anything official. The league had to do it. So now we've gone and we've been in parades. We've done, we've hosted the Brisbane Broncos rugby team at our facility and done joint collaborations with them. We took the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi trophy to Australia. We've done, Todd Gurley and Torrey Holt have been to Australia on our behalf, and we've thrown watch parties where people in Sydney and Melbourne get together and watch our games. So we can now go do deals with radio stations, with media partners, with companies to help bring it to life so that we can go grow a grassroots fandom, in Melbourne and Australia the same way we do here at home in Los Angeles.
Kevin Demoff is the president of the Rams. He is here on Radio Row in New Orleans, and we're talking about this big announcement today that the Rams will play a home game in 2026 in Melbourne, Australia. First of all, I've never been to Australia. Have you been?
I've never been.
Okay, do you have any idea how long it takes to get there?
15 and a half hours to Melbourne.
Wow, okay, gotcha. So
it's just like going, east on the 10 about 2 o'clock, in the afternoon in L.A.
When you're trying to get home, right? Yeah. Wow, 15 hours, it's a long flight. But I think, to your point earlier, it's probably a great idea if you could open the season over there.
And one of the great things about it for us is we now have a year and a half to learn the biorhythms of our players. We can take players over for a few days or a week, this year, this summer, and say, like, okay, how long did it take you to feel like you could play a game, right? Is that 4 days? Is it 5 days? And the nice part is if it is week 1, you don't have a game the week before, so you can go over 6-7 days in advance and get acclimated and have a week of practice. And then coming home, you land before you actually leave in Melbourne. So, if you were to do it as a Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, week 1 kickoff potentially, you'd have more than a week to recover ahead of week 2. Because the only challenge would be if you come home week 2, you're not going to have a bye in week 2, right? So you either have to find a time in season where you can go right away and then have a bye after, or you have to do it where you can try to do it both. And we'll work with the NFL on that. We'll obviously work with Melbourne Cricket Ground and our partners now at Visit Victoria in Australia. So, lots to think about, but we've been so fortunate. Reggie Scott, who leads, our sports science practice and all of our training, he's the best at what he does. And, we tasked him a couple weeks ago. We said, hey, you need to start figuring out how we can be fresh. And, under Sean McVay, we went to London and beat the Cardinals 33-0. We went to London, we beat the Bengals by 2 scores. So we've 2-0, under Sean, we've played internationally. And if we're going to go play a game in Australia, we're going to make sure that we do it right.
So London and other international cities. I mean, this past year, Philadelphia and Green Bay opened up in Brazil. Yep. Where else has the NFL been internationally?
The NFL, London, they've gone to Mexico.
Right, Mexico City.
Unfortunately, we were supposed to play the game in 2018 that we didn't get to.
You say unfortunately, but that
it wound up being one of the greatest blessings.
Right.
Shakira ruined the field. I was going to joke today at a press conference, don't let Shakira come to the Melbourne Cricket Ground a week before. But, the NFL now, expanded to Germany. Mm-hmm. They're going to Madrid this year, Sao Paulo. So this is really the first time they've gone to the Asia Pacific. So a great chance to go jump into that line.
Is there an appetite in Australia for American football?
Look, I think one of the things that we've always loved about Australia is it's about as close to the NFL as you can get, whether it's Australian rules football, which has had a number of punters.
Yeah.
Come out. I think back to Darren Bennett.
Oh.
You want to go back old
Change
school.
the game. Darren Bennett totally changed punting in the NFL. I don't know that he gets credit for it, but he did because, the end-over-end punt was something that no one was doing.
So obviously Australia's had a long history of punters and some kickers that have come through, and then Jordan Mailata at the Eagles, who's gone through it and become really one of the first position players. But English speaking, they play rugby, they play Australian rules football. So you're looking at probably the 2 closest games to football that exist anywhere in the world, right? And so when you think about that combination, I think it's ripe for growth. It's ripe to go develop talent as we think about the growth of flag football, both boys and girls potentially over the next few years. There's a ton of opportunity in Australia, and we can't wait to jump in and figure out what we can do there.
Nice. Kevin Demoff is the president of the Rams. He's here on Radio Row in New Orleans. Made an announcement earlier today that the Rams will be playing a home game in 2026 in Australia. Now, look, I got you here. You know what's coming.
I think my time's up.
Come on.
There's got to be another, former Hall of Famer wandering Radio Row, right?
Come on. 2 minutes. You ready? All right, first of all, what is going to happen with Matthew Stafford?
Look, I think Matthew, has seemingly indicated, that he wants to play. We've had conversations with him where it sounds like he'd like to come back. I think the way we set it up last year was always, when we worked on his contract last year, and really when we did his first contract, after the Super Bowl, he said he wanted to play 3 years and kind of reevaluate after that. I think, he and his family are going through the reevaluation stage. It looks like they want to play. It was always set up that if he wanted to play this year, it would be a conversation. We don't ever think his contract says he's going to make $23 million on paper. I think we all knew that was just a placeholder to go have future discussions. And, those discussions will start now. The start of the league year is 5-6 weeks away.
Yeah.
We're still a ways away. And obviously he's under contract. He's, a member of the Rams and, grateful for everything he's done. And we'll see how it plays out. Sean and Les are the ones to talk to, those decisions. But obviously Matthew's been great for us with the Rams. And I think we all hope and say we can continue to see that moving forward. We're pretty close this year to playing in this game, and that's a great credit to Matthew and his abilities.
So football is a very cruel business, by the way. Listen, guys, nobody really ever gets it to end the way they want it to end, And I can remember when I was in college, I had this coach, Paul Hackett, who became the head coach of USC. And we had dinner one night. He invited me over to his house for dinner, and it was me, Hackett, John Gruden, who was just coming in as like a passing game coordinator, and our quarterback, my buddy Alex Van Pelt, who was the offensive coordinator of the Patriots. And here's the reason I bring it all up is because Hackett told me that night, he goes, the NFL doesn't care who you are. And he said, and here's my example. Joe Montana now plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. And so nobody ever gets it to really end the way they want. Rarely do you get Aaron Donald, to retire the way he wants. So you know where I'm probably going, which is Cooper Kupp. What an amazing career he had with the Rams, and obviously he put out on Instagram the other day that he's about to move on. What do you think about Cooper's career and the fact that his time as a Ram is now over?
Well, look, nothing says that his time with the Ram is now over yet, right? Like, obviously, Sean and Les had a chance to meet with Cooper. We'll see what happens this offseason. Obviously, Cooper put out a very thoughtful and heartfelt statement about his time here, and the likelihood is that it may end after the season. But you never – I think the other thing in the NFL, you never know the way things end, right? But I think the appreciation we have for Cooper being Sean McVay's first draft class, helping us go to 2 Super Bowl, the Triple Crown season, winning the Super Bowl at SoFi Stadium, catching the ball in the corner of the end zone. I think those are memories we'll all have. His leadership, what he meant to our community, to our players. The NFL doesn't always end the way you want. Todd Gurley was the best player in the NFL for a year and a half, hits his knee and, changes his trajectory of his career. You talked about Aaron Donald. He got to retire on his own. We got the storybook ending with Andrew Whitworth winning Walter Payton Man of the Year and then winning the Super Bowl 4 days later and walking off into the sunset. And you can think about, John Elway or some other greats who have done that. But ultimately, usually there comes an inflection point on, does everything line up for the player and the team? I don't know that we're there right now for Cooper. There will always be an immense appreciation in our organization, for what he's done. He's one of the greatest players in the histories of the Rams. He had the greatest season to date in history for any receiver that's happened that, gave us our first Lombardi trophy in Los Angeles. And I think as you get into this point every year, when you get into January and February, when you're not playing in the Super Bowl and you start to think about what the next year looks like, you start to have difficult conversations about all the players, on your rosters. And Cooper is a fan favorite. He's someone we loved. And if he's not here with us next year, we'll all be pulling for him elsewhere the same way we do for Jared Goff, except when we play them, in Detroit, and so many other players who have come and gone. And, he's had a storied career. If he wants to keep playing and that's not with us, we'll be cheering for him. And there will always be a time when he's welcome in our building, as part of the group that helped put the Los Angeles Rams back on the map, here in Los Angeles. And I thought he and Anna and their family did a great job, when they kind of said, hey, it may be time for us to move on. I don't know that any of us have wrapped our heads around that mentally, and we'll see what this offseason holds. I always say when you're sitting here in February, the league year starts March 12th, March 13th. We're 5 weeks away from that. A lot can transpire either way, and what is said now doesn't always mean what comes to life 5 weeks from now. You can't trade anybody. You can't do any of that right now. So, I think the story is still to be written, with Cooper. Obviously helped us tremendously this year. I think back to huge moments he had this year against New England or catches, in both playoff games that kind of helped propel us. An amazing player, an amazing human. You can't write the Los Angeles Rams story without Cooper Kupp, and that will always be something we'll think of.
Yeah, and I actually think of his selflessness this year. I mean, the number of times, and Sean was on with me and George a couple weeks ago, the number of times that he was not productive per se in terms of stats, but he was, and I said it to Sean, in a Hines Ward way, still making a contribution by blocking and helping that offense, do anything it could to win.
I still think of him in 2018 after he tears his ACL against the Seahawks, and he's helping Josh Reynolds and the rest of our players along, few days after surgery, try to go chase that Super Bowl, which unfortunately didn't go our way. But, again, you could say so many stories about Cooper Kupp, how he led, how he participated, what he meant to our community. He was our Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee a year ago. There will be plenty of time for that gratitude. I think the first thing we have to do is figure out now what is his future. And if that's not with us, hopefully it's somewhere where he can still go and make a difference and be excited. But the door will always be open to Cooper Kupp, at SoFi Stadium, at the Rams house, and certainly in Woodland Hills.
All right, last thing. Be curious to hear your opinion on this. What'd you think about what the Lakers just pulled off? What do you think about Luka to the Lakers?
Well, I think I'm like everybody else, right? And when you sit down and when you read the tweet, you then checked and oh, this is the fake shams, right?
Yeah.
There's something this just couldn't be. And, look, we've pulled off a lot of trades in my time, with the Rams. Certainly when I think back to the Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff trade, I think back to when we traded the rights to RG3, and kind of how that trickled out when we did the Jared Goff trade when we first moved back to Los Angeles. And, some things that have been really exciting, but boy, this one's different. And, I look at it from a different hat, obviously, as president of the Nuggets.
Right.
The shape of the West just dramatically changed. And we've been fortunate. I know we're not allowed to say this on ESPN LA. We've been fortunate, in the last few playoff series against the Lakers, to have some success and be able to continue to advance. And what a different look the Lakers have now. What a different look Dallas has now. And, what does that mean for the rest of us who are kind of looking at our trade boards? And I was with the Nuggets yesterday kind of talking through, okay, what does the rest of the trade deadline look like? But I think everybody in the NBA is just shocked.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when you think about what the equivalent would be in any other sport, you just don't see these kind of trades mid-season that have such a domino effect. But look, that's what makes sports so exciting. And, it's certainly hard for Anthony Davis and Luka to pick up their lives mid-season and have to go play. We just made a trade with the Avalanche where we traded Mikko Rantanen to Carolina, who had been a mainstay for us, helped win a Stanley Cup in 10 years. And I think to your point, I think Nikola Jokic said it the other day when they asked him about the trade. He said, there's nobody in our league who's untouchable. And you mentioned Joe Montana, Wayne Gretzky, got traded. I think that's what you come to learn. Sports, you have to go attack it when you do. And I always think back to our 2021, season, whether it was trading for Von Miller, signing Odell, trading for Matthew Stafford. I think when you're in those windows as a team, you have to do everything you can to go give yourself the best chance to win. And when I look at teams making aggressive trades, and certainly Rob's done that, and I always think about it. I remember when we did, even thinking back to when we did Brandon Cooks and Ndamukong Suh, and then the Dodgers did Manny Machado, and that's when the Lakers signed, LeBron James. And then I think that's even when, who did the Galaxy sign?
David Beckham?
No, it wasn't David Beckham. It was Zlatan,
yeah.
right? And an LAFC, makes that's what Los Angeles has always been. Los Angeles has always been the place where people go make and take aggressive swings. And it's one of the things that I think makes us the best sports market in the country is you have these teams that are unafraid, to go chase it. And, to me, that's what I looked at the Lakers, and you give them a ton of credit for what they did and reimagining their franchise. And it'll be fascinating to see, the way the dominoes fall. But I think, certainly wearing my Nuggets hat, I'm not sure we want to face either the revamped Maverick or the revamped Lakers anytime soon. And then, you look at the West has been shaped, and De'Aaron Fox going to San Antonio.
Yeah.
The West looks vastly different than it did this time a week ago. And I think that's the awesome part about sports. And look, we're sitting here at the Super Bowl. Your goal is ultimately to go chase the title. And I think when you run a team, when you're, whether you're Les Snead, whether you're Rob Pelinka, whether you're Andrew Friedman, you're always thinking about how do I go give us the best chance to go win a championship. And it's awesome to see. And what I love in Los Angeles is there's no chance to be complacent as a franchise here. There's always someone raising that bar for you. And, if you don't think that came across, we were, Sean, last Tony Pastores, who helps run our team, we're all together over the weekend. When we got that tweet, and we're like, okay, game on, right? We've always been known for making those big, bold swings, and, game on.
Right on. Kevin Demoff, congratulations on the announcement today. Thanks for coming over.
Appreciate it, Scott. Thank
all right,
you.
man. Be good.
Bye.
There's Kevin Demoff. For anybody that doesn't quite know this, Kevin is the president of the Rams, but Stan Kroenke, the owner of the Rams, also owns the Avalanche, and he owns the Nuggets. And so Kevin is the president of all of those teams. And, Clinton, isn't it interesting that while that interview was airing, and I recorded that interview with Kevin Demoff earlier today.
Excellent work, by the way, on that. There was a scramble just for the behind-the-scenes folks. You did a good job with that.
Oh, thanks, man. But, while we're in the middle of that conversation, as Kevin puts on his NBA hat, he says, I'm not sure we want to play either of these teams that are, revamping their rosters in the West. He's kind of coming at it from the Denver perspective.
Right.
But while this conversation is airing, all this news is breaking right now about Jimmy Butler being traded from Miami to Golden State. So we've seen what's happened to the Lakers.
Jennings shouts.
Right. We've seen what's happened to the Lakers. We've seen what's happened to Sacramento from trading De'Aaron Fox down to San Antonio. Now we're seeing what's happening to Golden State. This move that the Lakers made for Luka, Clinton, has changed every Western Conference organization's thought process, because all of a sudden, Luka was in the conference, but he wasn't with LeBron and the Lakers. And yes, we're getting towards the end of the trading deadline, but still, these are seismic moves that are being made in the NBA right now.
I agree, but I will push back on that and say this. Jimmy Butler's name was in the hat long before the Luka situation was on the table. While I do think that the Lakers changing what they have from a roster standpoint affects a lot of these teams. Look, they were already ahead of the Mavericks in the standings. The Mavericks aren't even in the playoffs right now, if I have that right, DeAndre. I believe that they're on the play-in right now.
They are in the play-in,
the
correct.
Mavs, so they're sort of on the outside looking in. But I will say this. This is interesting not because of what did happen. And I know that I said before that I don't love speculating on what didn't happen, but I know that I trust the reporting of Shams. If Kevin Durant said he didn't want to go back to the Warriors and Jimmy Butler ends up there, that informs me as much as anything, Scott, in terms of what's actually kind of happening there. Steph on sort of the tail end. He's sort of in a similar situation to LeBron. Draymond is always a wild card, for lack of a better term. And for me, if Kevin Durant, who's on a team that was in the trade discussions with Jimmy Butler to begin with, as a result of him sort of potentially being on the block, says, I don't want to go there, a place he's already been, that to me has as much intrigue as where Jimmy Butler actually ended up. It happens to be in Golden State.
Yeah, the other part of it that's interesting, Clinton, is at the beginning of today's broadcast, as Sedano was, getting ready to go do an NBA broadcast tonight, he was saying, and I know everybody else around the NBA is watching and waiting to see what's going to happen with Kevin Durant. And so now that Golden State is out, the story that George was telling us was that people are starting to try and put together that maybe Durant goes to Miami.
Right.
And if you're trying to put two and two together as we're waiting for the trade deadline to actually get here, if Miami finally moves Butler, which I wasn't necessarily sure they were going to do, because I feel like
I'm with you on that, because Pat Riley is a hard ass and he didn't want to actually do that. Yeah.
Right. But maybe the reason Miami says we'll move Jimmy Butler is so that we have assets and we can put the puzzle together to actually get Kevin Durant.
So you want Dennis Schroeder to get traded twice in the same day or twice in 2 days? This guy can't stay on a team to save his life.
Listen, poor Dennis Schroeder.
I know.
I will always remember poor Dennis Schroeder had an $80 million contract looking him in the face.
Turned it down.
Right.
It affected the franchise for 4 seasons. It was like a real problem.
Right.
He could have signed. It could have stabilized a whole lot of things. I'm not even going to get into that. But I will say this, Scott. I like Jimmy Butler. Those of you who know me and have followed me on Around the Horn know that I dressed as emo Jimmy Butler for Halloween 2 Halloweens ago, and it was some of the most fun I've ever had doing that job. But I think at this stage of what's happening, that Jimmy Butler is closer to being Paul George than he is to being Kawhi Leonard in terms of what the actual contributions are versus the number of teams that he's played on. Jimmy Butler is a tremendous basketball player. He adds a level of grit to a squad in a playoff context that literally no other player in the league has. But adding him to a team with established veterans who are known to be members of the hands community when things get out of line, that is kind of a weird mix to me.
Well, I agree with you. It's interesting the way you just put it. You said that he's more headed towards Paul George than he is towards Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, Kawhi Leonard, who's played for 2 different championship teams, been an MVP on both of those teams in terms of his contribution, but wasn't considered the super duper star per se, but has the rings to back it up.
I would say for me, Jimmy Butler, this just reminds me of when Russell Westbrook came to the Lakers, that there was just no way that Russell Westbrook was going to fit in if he wasn't the number one guy. And I really, really wonder how Jimmy Butler will go and fit in on Steph and Draymond's team. Can it work the way Randy Moss went to Tom Brady's team and got back to being Randy Moss? Because remember, he wasn't that guy when he was with the Raiders, but he became that guy again when he went to the Patriots. Can Jimmy Butler assimilate on somebody else's team? That's my question.
I think what we should be worried about, as far as look at the whole West, as far as the Lakers and their competition in the Western Conference, this brings a little bit of scare as far as, okay, you got to face against the Golden State Warriors with Adam Jimmy Butler because he's a guy that does not need the ball in his hands. He's going to exert all of his energy.
That's his best skill.
That's his best skill, not needing the ball in his hands. And he does have a switch where he does turn it on, so they got to be aware of that. But Steph Curry, he does have to worry about bringing the ball up now, because Jimmy Butler can bring the ball up a little bit, and Steph Curry can do what he does as far as run off the screens, come off the down screens, and all that different stuff. So Jimmy Butler is a guy that can fit in with the Warriors because he can also have that space as well of not needing the ball in his hands. And then we already know what Jimmy Butler is. He's a defensive guy, defensive mindset. So all of his energy and hustle and everything is going to be exerted in that end. And that's where Golden State was lacking on this year, is that they didn't really have guys who were key defenders be able to lock up. They were trying to outscore guys while adding Jimmy Butler. It could be a good mix. It helps with that.
It changes the way your offense runs because you don't have to. You can be more efficient. You don't have the same volume of shots. But here's the thing, D and Scott. The Warriors are in 10th. Like, it's not like the Warriors are in a position that even the Lakers or the Clippers are, for that matter. Like, they've still got something to figure out in order to ensure themselves of actually being a playoff team. That's why this is so fascinating to me. This is a huge move if you're on the bubble, for lack of a better term, Scott.
Yeah, and D, you right away bring up, like the basketball stuff, who's going to touch the ball, who has the ball, needs the ball, doesn't need the ball. You right away go towards, the actual basketball. I don't even think about basketball. I think about chemistry. And I literally wonder if a guy like Jimmy Butler, who I perceive to be such a diva, that I wonder if he can just go from one team where it was his team, and then he got soured on that team and really showed himself to be a very selfish teammate. And now you have to go to Steph Curry's team, and you got to fit yourself in.
To be fair, it wasn't his team. He was never the captain of the Heat. And that's something that I think a lot of people forget about. When the captainship got passed from Udonis Haslem, it went to Bam Adebayo. It didn't go to Jimmy. And that was part of the reason for the initial rift, Scott, is that people felt like, yo, bro, you dragged these dudes to a couple finals and they still didn't give you the captainship? Like, what's actually going on here in terms of the beef with Pat Riley? So while I agree with what you're saying, I do think that there's something to be said for the fact that never actually happened in Miami versus what people perceived it to be.
Yeah, and it's actually a good point, though, Clinton, because, like, when you say it's not his team because he didn't wear the captaincy, it's a perception thing.
Yeah.
Like, because of what you said, which is he dragged them to the finals. Yeah. It is absolutely amazing that this year's trade deadline has already featured this number of magnitude of stars changing hands from teams in the West to within the West, and now you've got Jimmy Butler coming from Miami in the East all the way to Golden State out West. All right, stick around. We still got a lot more to get to, including coming up next, following commercial-free 30 minutes, it is time for Big Deal or No Deal. This is Sedano and Cap on 710.
I'm Doug.
And I'm Damon.
And we want to buy your house.
Let Seller's Advantage show you how we can give you more.
No fees, no commissions, and no repairs. Just a fair cash offer that can close in just a few days.
Check out our Google reviews.
And call Seller's Advantage today or visit sellersadvantage.com.
And everybody can say that, and many, many legends passed here, many championships, so that's my goal.
This is the home of LeBron, Luka, and the Lakers. 710 ESPN.
You never expect a Hail Mary pass to win and end the game or getting into an accident. Hey, it's Trav with DeMarco.
Only one all-star defense team you can call to defend you. The personal injury law offices of Joseph S. Normand. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000.
Don't get sacked by others. Joseph will help you achieve the maximum compensation you deserve. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000. That's 213-747-2000.
Let Joseph and his team score a touchdown for you.
Next Gen is the official AC, heating, plumbing, and electrical company of SoCal sports fans. That's right. Next Gen is the absolute best in the biz with thousands of 5-star reviews to prove it. Clogged drain? No problem. Call Next Gen today to book your $88 drain cleaning. That's right. For just $88, you'll receive a professional drain cleaning to keep your home flowing smoothly all season long. Call 833-3-NEXT-GEN. That's 833-3-NEXGEN for your $88 drain cleaning.
NEXGEN. Call 833-3-NEXT-GEN. Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My check engine light's on?
That could hurt your gas mileage. The AutoZone free Fix Finder service can help find the fix for free.
Get in the zone.
This whole report for free?
That's right. Printed and on your phone for free.
Get in the zone.
But what if the fix is too tough?
We'll recommend a local shop. Fix Finder, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone. AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Sedano and Cap for your afternoon right now on 710 ESPN. It's 6:30 p.m. Big deal or no deal. Take it away, Sedano.
All right, no Sedano tonight. We got Clinton Yates, the big CY, the president of the local chapter of the Handsome Man community, is in for Sedano.
What's up, kiddos? You nailed that one. That was a good job, Scott. Also host of Clinton and Friends, which debuts on Monday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on ESPN 710.
Oh, dude. Before we get out of here, I have some things to talk to you about with the start of Monday's show.
Excellent.
Before we do, though, Big Deal or No Deal is coming up, and we mentioned to you in the last segment this Jimmy Butler trade from Miami to Golden State. There's a detail in this that is critical to at least bring up real quickly.
Yes, I'll start there.
You want to start there, Liz?
Yeah, I'll start
Go
there.
for it.
So, new Golden State Warriors star Jimmy Butler has agreed to a 2-year, $121 million extension with the Warriors through 26-27 season, according to Shams and Wendy. He's declining his 25-26 player option to make room for this new deal. So, obviously, this is a big deal, right? Literally a very big deal. $60 million a year for the next 2 years.
Well, to me, what makes this a really big deal is that I was saying to you, Clinton, in the last segment, I have this perception of Jimmy Butler that he's a diva, that he can be a very selfish guy. Trading him would be one thing, trying to assimilate him with, Steph and Steve Kerr and Draymond in that roster.
Mm-hmm.
But when you give him the money, you've given him the security of that he's going to be there. You've made him happy financially, and you've let the rest of the roster, Steph primary amongst them, you've just told them this was not a half of a season rental situation.
Right.
He's actually going to be here for the next couple of years.
Well,
theoretically.
I'm not going to, I don't love this deal. Like, if I'm a Warriors fan, I just don't know. There's too many things in the air. You kept Kuminga. That's a good thing, if you're asking me, roster construction-wise. But there's something about, there's just something about the current constitution of where they are from, like, an age and a development standpoint that bringing in Jimmy right now, like, are we talking about a post-Steph era? Like, what are we even thinking in terms of what this team is going to be in the next 2 seasons? Or do we think that sort of rounds out the time that your Draymonds and your Stephs, not that they're replaceable players, are going to be there? Does this sort of end sort of the third chapter of whatever that is, if we're considering Clay the first chapter, KD and them the second chapter, and then this being the third? You see what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I do. And, Jimmy Butler is, I believe, 36. And I think Steph is probably in that same range. I think he's 36. So
yeah,
you might be
I think he's
right.
35, but like whatever it is, Steph is an older 35, if you will, because of the ankle. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's an active player. I don't see Steph going as long as a LeBron, personally. That's not a knock on him. I just feel differently about that.
Yeah, but 2 more years?
Perhaps.
Listen, by the way, I don't love it either. I mean, $60 million a year for a 36-year-old guy. And like I said, maybe I got it all wrong. Maybe I don't understand who Jimmy Butler is. But
playoff Jimmy,
this temper tantrum that he threw, and most teams would have caved, but Pat Riley's like the only guy left that still doesn't cave to players. So
I wouldn't qualify this as a cave. I mean, I think that the Heat have, I don't want to say they've gotten better, because, again, as Lindsay said, you can't really you can quantify playoff Jimmy, but you can't really quantify what you gain in other players versus what you lose in the proverbial headache of Butler. And again, I am a large Jimmy Butler fan. I actually do not have a problem with the diva antics, as you would call them, but this does feel like there is if I'm using a cooking method and I'm using a recipe, there's not a dollop of desperation here. There's a drop. There's a pinch of desperation here from what I believe to be what the Warriors are doing.
Yeah,
The drop and a pinch are separate.
They
They're
are
different.
separate, but I'm saying
totally
it is a
different
smaller
deals.
amount than a dollop entirely.
Gotcha.
Is what I'm saying.
What I mean by a cave is, and I don't think that they caved by trading him. I think they traded him because they're probably Miami's thinking something else is about to happen and had to move him out.
Right. You
But
still believe that there are more moves to be made from the
Yeah.
Heat standpoint. Yeah.
Right. And I think it goes back to what George said at the beginning of today's show, which is it possible Kevin Durant might say, I got to get out of the West. Look what's going on in this conference between the Luka move and the San Antonio move and now the Golden State move. You know what? And Phoenix were not very good. You know what? I got to get to the East because that's my chance to win.
Sure. So
Not a whole lot of movement in the East at all.
I would call this, Linz, a big deal.
Indeed.
Big deal. All right, so really quick here. I saw today that Ticket IQ is saying that Super Bowl tickets are the cheapest they've ever been right now. They have fallen below $4,000 for a get-in price, and I guess that's like a 35% drop over the past 10 days. Last year, the Tuesday before the Super Bowl, the cheapest price that you could get a Super Bowl get-in ticket for was $7,500. So obviously, this probably has a lot to do with the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl once again. I don't think it's a huge deal, but I want to ask you guys, is this something where, like, can you make any sense of this? Why Super Bowl tickets are continuing to drop throughout this week?
Who's going first?
Clinton, you go first.
I can, and if you want to tune into ESPN Daily tomorrow, I have an interview with Tisha Thompson, an investigative reporter for ESPN, who talks about the security situation in New Orleans this week. I can completely understand why people don't want to go down there and deal with that as far as getting in the actual game is concerned, Scott. What a lot of people don't understand about Super Bowl week is that a ton of people go, and they do not actually get in the building because they don't want to be there. The game is almost irrelevant to everything else that happens. And I don't just mean from a business standpoint. I mean from a partying standpoint. And you add on top of that, POTUS is going to the Super Bowl for the first time ever, which is going to be another layer of security stuff that people are going to have to deal with. It's a bit of a mess in Louisiana right now, Scott. And you know that because you're on the ground.
Well, Clinton, you'll find this interesting. On Sunday night when I first got here, I was like, okay, you know what? It's been a long day of travel. There were a whole bunch of delays, neither here nor there at this point. And on Sunday night, about 10 o'clock or so, I was like, let's go out for a walk. And I figured, let's go walk Bourbon Street on Sunday night before it really turns into a mess. And on Sunday night, I went to the memorial for the attack that happened on New Year's Eve. I guess it really technically was New Year's Day because it was 3 o'clock in the morning.
January 1st.
And you see this memorial, and you see the road closures, and you see giant spotlights to make sure that, that there is better security. And that was Sunday night. And there were lots of cops, and it was, everything seemed very normal. On Monday night, I am not exaggerating in the slightest bit. It went from probably, call it, and I'm just making up a number, 500 police officers to now all of a sudden you had another, call it 500 people, police officers that were wearing more like battle gear.
Tactical gear.
Right. Then, on top of that, then there were all these Army National Guard people. And they're all carrying like these giant rifles. I guess they're semi-automatic rifles that you hear about. I don't know anything about guns. So, dude, you went from having a normal amount of police presence, be it on foot or on horseback, on Bourbon Street. That was on Sunday night. By Monday night, there were thousands of law enforcement officers or Homeland Security, whatever it is, Army people. And I mean
National
big guns.
Guard.
Dude, these people look like they were ready to go to war. So if somebody thinks that they're going to do something during the Super Bowl, especially after what New Orleans experienced on New Year's Eve, there are people ready to go to war everywhere. And I will tell you, walking down the street with a whole bunch of people carrying these giant rifles, it makes me nervous as hell.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not trying to say anything here, but, that doesn't always make everybody feel safer when there's a lot more people with guns around, whether they be law enforcement or not. And so my point just was that I can understand how if this was the Super Bowl you had to pick to spend your discretionary money on, you might say, I'm good. It's been a little chaotic in New Orleans recently, and from what I'm hearing, it's only going to be more so based on the getting closer to the game, so that's understandable for me.
Yeah, and Kansas City fans are like, well, I was at the Super Bowl last year, and the year before I was at the Super Bowl, and a couple years before that I was at the Super Bowl, so I'm Super Bowled out. And if you're the Eagles fans, you won a Super Bowl a few years ago with Nick Foles, the Philly special, and then you were in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. So these are two fan bases that have seen a lot of Super Bowls recently.
Dynamite drop in, DeAndre.
Let me hear you all say ELGSES, Eagles!
Go Birds.
Let's go
man,
Birds!
That's funny.
Go Birds.
That is funny. What else we got?
That's it for Big Deal or No Deal.
That's the end of Big Deal or No Deal, huh?
It is. We're getting close to quitting time here, Kepi.
Yeah. I'm here on Radio Row in New Orleans, and let me tell you
It's got to
something.
be a ghost town right now.
I am so by myself right now, and there's a security gentleman sitting right in front of me, and there are two gentlemen that are here on the ESPN set. These poor guys have been here all day long,
they're
and they're
waiting
looking
for
at their
you?
watches like, how much longer? Here, buddy, how much longer? And I'm like, don't worry about it. We'll be out of here at 6 o'clock. And they're looking at their watches going, bro, it's 7:45 here in New Orleans.
6 o'clock Pacific. Right.
Yeah,
These guys
Pacific.
got things to do. They got to escort you home.
Yeah.
Lord knows
I mean,
the mobs of people are going to come looking for you with Joe Fortenbaugh.
His Twitter followers are going to be hunting you down, Kepi.
Dude, I think Joe Fortenbaugh, I think tomorrow it's on. I really do. I think
I love
because
it.
here's what's happened. The circle of trust has blown him up, You
got to put
So-
some leashes on them dogs, player. It's going
I
to turn
know.
into a problem. Hope
It's
it works
true.
out.
Hey, coming up next, it's Dealer's Choice, and I'm going to say this about Dealer's Choice. The plan is to talk about CY and Friends. Stick around. This is Sedano and Cap on 710 ESPN.
Saturday in North Carolina, the Kings powered their way to a 4-2 win over the Hurricanes, led by forward Kevin Fiala.
Kings guided up top, deflected out. Foot race back through neutral ice to collect it, and the Kings take over. Right wing, Fiala steps into the middle. Fiala waits, shoots, scores! What a goal! Kevin Fiala, and the Kings lead it 3-1 here in the second period. Hull pressured right wing, and it's back into the neutral zone. Skated away by LA, and they come. Fiala shoots, scores! Kevin Fiala, he's done it again! And with 8:20 to play in the third, it's 4-2 LA! Tonight, the Kings begin a 6-game stretch on home ice against an original 6 opponent, the Montreal Canadiens. Don't miss the action. Listen live at 7:30 on the all-new ESPN LA app.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text STREAK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text STREAK to 321-321. That's STREAK to 321-321.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, Hims can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Well, that is our final segment, music. Amazing job today by DeAndre. Incredible work by Lindsay Baseball. And the big CY, Clinton Yates.
What's up,
in
kiddos?
today.
How we doing?
We're doing really good.
So,
We're doing.
what do you want to know, Scott? I know you got questions. I know you want to talk about the old national show coming up. We got one more to do, by the way, you and I, before that show comes up. But what do you want to know?
Well, I want to know this. You and I.
This is Dealer's Choice, by the way, just for those
Correct.
who were wondering. Yes.
That's exactly what this is. Dealer's Choice, presented by Seller's Advantage. Listen, everybody's got a reason for wanting to sell their home. For you may want to move. You're tired of your house. You're ready for a change. It may be that somebody left you a home and you don't want to live in it. And you don't want to pay the property taxes on it. Or maybe there's some other reason why you are ready to move. But whatever your reason is, they'll make you a competitive cash offer. And all you have to do is visit their website, sellersadvantage.com. That's sellersadvantage.com. And this is the Seller's Advantage Dealer's Choice. You and I, Clinton, went to a hockey game a few weeks ago.
We did.
Florida Panthers were in town.
The Kings skated against the Panthers, correct.
That night, we sat there and we talked about the new CY and Friends show.
Keanu and Veronica were there, too.
At the time, there were question marks about the show. But now,
yes,
we're zoning in.
Yes, we are.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Super Bowl Sunday, and debut Monday.
Correct.
How buttoned down are we today versus where we were 2 weeks ago?
Now, I'm not telling stories out of school here, but I am revealing things that I have not otherwise said on the air, so I appreciate the platform to talk about this. But we are at the phase, I would say, that we have installed the game plan for the week. We still have a walkthrough to do. That is going to happen. I'm using football terms to try to relate to you, Scott.
Greatly
but
appreciated.
The game plan has been installed. Our off-season program was tremendous as far as I'm concerned. I would break out the Sean McVay impression here, but my voice is shot and I don't feel like doing that. What I'm saying is we're in a good place. Now, to add even further to that, yesterday, Carlo and I took a trip over to the studio because we will be shooting live from Studio 5 at LAPC. And Carlo, the great content man that he is, shot some BTS. That's behind the scenes. That's an industry term. I'm only joking about that. But he shot some BTS, and we're going to do a little something. We're going to take you behind the curtain more so than even these jazzy standards. This bed is incredible, Lindsay, by the way. I feel like I should have a highball
it's
with
our
an old-fashioned in here.
Yeah.
God, I love this. Anyway, hearing it in my ears is a little different than hearing it on the radio. Moving right along. What I'm saying is we are going to provide what you're looking for, Scott, in an even more in-depth manner for the listeners, for the YouTube viewers, and everybody. Because we do want to take everybody behind the curtain. We went through some different looks as to how the studio was going to look. We've gone through some different machinations of the sounds that were going to be a part of the program. And all of that is in play and under construction in a way that I feel extremely confident and good about at this stage, Scott. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Now, you and I were having this conversation a couple weeks ago. Debut broadcast is the Monday after the Super Bowl. And I said, listen, depending on who wins the Super Bowl might determine, who gets the honor of being your first guest on Clinton and Friends.
This is true. Now,
so have you put more thought into what happens based on who wins?
Yes, but I don't think who wins is going to determine who the first guest is. Now, there are some things that are going to be worked out as far as who the first caller might be. The COT does have some advantages in that regard. Some discussions have been had within the community. We've had a meeting about that. That said, likelihood that somebody you've seen on TV before is the first guest is very high, irrespective of who wins or loses.
Because I suggested to you that if the Eagles win,
yes,
you should get Jason Kelsey on.
Right.
Because he's become such a big star at ESPN, and he's a former Philadelphia Eagle, and that would seem to make a lot of sense, especially for your debut show.
That's right. You know who I think you should get?
Who's that?
Let me hear you all say
Okay.
E-L-G-S-E.
Gratuitous.
Eagles.
Is what this is at this point.
You want to
Let's
know
go Birds.
Could be good. Could be good.
Let me tell you something about that mayor on a serious tip for a second here.
Uh-huh.
we all joked about her and laughed at her when she did that, and she misspelled Eagles, and it was very funny and cute. And then DeAndre went out and got an English T-shirt, But, she came right back into the national spotlight literally a week later because of what happened in Philadelphia last, I guess it was probably Friday night. Does that sound right? Which was the crash of that,
It's an
that Lear
unfortunate
jet,
situation.
right?
A medical plane crashed, yeah.
And she was front and center with the governor of Pennsylvania and, all the, people that, talk at these sorts of things. And I was like, girl, you are crushing it.
Yeah, she's a real live mayor, dude.
Right.
I mean, this wasn't an actual scene in Abbott Elementary, even though it looked like one and sounded like one.
But so for a woman who is nationally ridiculed, and I say ridiculed, I mean it in a cute way.
Yeah.
For her to have to come back so fast and go from her misspelling of Eagles to a real life major disaster in her city, I give the mayor of Philadelphia a ton of credit.
I'll give you that. It's a good call.
Yeah,
it's
I think
excellent.
she crushed it.
But getting back to the guest thing, I think that we're also not dude, I'm a pretty normal guy. I'm not super pressed about things like who's getting the first this and the first that. And I don't say that to dismiss your question, Scott, not remotely. I'm just saying that it's a process. You've done shows for decades. You know how things build. You understand how things are established and how you make foundations. I'm more concerned about, for lack of a better term, to continue the football metaphor, week 10 than I am week 1. You know what I'm saying?
I totally understand what you're saying. I think that's a great idea. Rather than kind of coming in on day one, hi, I'm Clinton. This is my new show.
First of all,
Here
that's
are
not
my
how
friends.
I talk. That's not how I roll, bro. But no,
octave raise.
I'm saying to you that I think that rather than going through that,
hey guys,
I think you act like you're in week 10.
No, yeah, I mean, and that's sort of the idea. And I just want to say quickly, everybody who's been a part of this, from Justin Craig, who was on the program earlier, Carlo, who's been doing all sorts of stuff, my man Devin out there in Bristol. There's all sorts of people. Josh, who's over there at LAPC as well as Rafa. Guys have been helping people out. We're really trying to make this right. This isn't just going to be about me yakking, all right? It's a real live show. I take this stuff seriously. And for those of you who think that I'm just a journalist, don't let the smooth taste fool you with my sexy face, all right? I understand how to put a program together, and I'm ready to do it. And I'm very excited about it. And I can't wait till we get this thing started on Monday.
You hear that? He ain't just the president of the local chapter of the Handsome Man community. He's a journalist, and he takes this stuff seriously.
Should
Fight
be fun.
on.
Should be fun. I've been listening to radio like a dork since I was 12 years old, man. This is a dream come true, and I'm throwing everything I got at it. That's pretty much
we're
where we are.
we're all excited about it for a variety of reasons. One, because we all feel like we're on the same team.
Certainly.
And two, because now the listeners here in 710, they know you, and now they're going to have what I'm going to call their local show. Even though it's really a national show, it's one of their own guys, and it emanates from L.A. So
there will be plenty local talk. Trust me on that. You know why? Because I live here.
Yeah.
That's why.
Hey, great job today, Clinton. Great to be with you, and I'll see you on Friday.
Absolutely.
Okay? DeAndre, spectacular work. Lindsay, world class. For everybody, we'll see you guys tomorrow.